I didn't give this book enough love when I read it last year. This book, The Fisherman, came out the same time as A Brief History of Seven Killings. The Fisherman was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize, which A Brief History of Seven Killings won. And I read both books last year within a couple weeks of each other. And I personally preferred The Fisherman because I related to the themes of the book more, even though I fully appreciate that Marlon James's book is literally like a masterpiece of like writing and being able to craft a story following that many interconnecting narratives. I fully understand why that won the Man Booker Prize. I'm not contesting that. But I really loved The Fisherman when I read it. And I don't think I gave it enough love. I think I read the book when I was at like my wit's end with my like, I need to read 30 books in a month. And it's like the last one I really enjoyed before I decided to call it quits on that challenge. But genuinely, this book was spectacular, and I think people should go off and read this. I am ashamed of myself for not actually having made a video on this book. So you can get this book from the description down below. I'll leave links to it from a few places where you can pick it up, including bookshop.org, or go to your local library and pick up this book. It is really good, and I highly recommend you read it. Obioma in this book basically tells like a Cain and Abel style story in this, but it follows multiple brothers, and it's kind of this, it's about family relations. Obviously it's set in 90s Nigeria, but it's still really applicable. It follows family dynamics, family, confrontations. It follows maybe some spirituality. It mixes them all together to tell this just heart-wrenching story. And I think because I am a brother, I'm a younger brother, I really resonated with it. Not in the fact that, my brother and I, spoiler alert, have like a blood feud, but in the fact that like the relationships between these brothers were just so raw and real, and seeing them kind of be pulled apart and torn apart by this almost mystical character is just, it made me feel like, no, please guys, don't do this, throughout the entire read. So I'm going to be trying to avoid spoilers throughout, but what I am going to say happens either very early in the book, or it's basically on like the blurb of the book. So the story follows 5 brothers, well, 4 of them, and they have a younger brother and a younger sister as well, but it basically follows the 4 older brothers and kind of their journey into manhood, which is also tainted by these like just the ideas of what is going on around them. They're in the midst of a huge political campaign, but there's also a character who is basically this, described as a madman who can tell prophecies, and this prophecy basically tears these brothers apart and leads to dire consequences for them. And it is just, the relationship between the brothers is one thing, but then also the relationship with the parents and how that influences how the brothers treat each other, but also how they kind of try to act because of the role of their parents. It really is a fantastic look into the psyche of these young men, well, boys and young men. It is just incredible. And even like the thought process after a big event happens, about, I'd say halfway through the book, it takes a very rapid turn with these characters and their actions, and it kind of shows you how they reach that viewpoint. And even though you as the reader are reading this and are thinking, please don't do these things, don't go down this route, you kind of understand why they're doing it. The author is so good at like presenting you the characters' thought process, even the characters who aren't the narrator. You kind of see their descent or you see how they change as people, and you kind of understand it. And even though you just like, please don't do this thing, please don't do it. Do they do it? Maybe not. Maybe you're like, yes, thank God you didn't do that. But also, did they do it? No, why did you do that? Oh God, man, it is so good at really reeling you in. And it's not a slow burn, this book, but it just creeps along for the next thing that's going to happen. There's always a reminder in the back of your head of, say, this prophecy that the brothers were told, or this reminder of what's going on with all the political stuff in the background. How is that going to influence what affects these characters, or what that thing the mother and father said at the beginning of the book? Why is that something I'm thinking of as these brothers are making these decisions as they go along? I'm not of African descent, specifically Nigerian descent, so going off of things I've read online that people have said about this book, they've really loved the way Obioma talks about Nigerian culture, whether it be the religious aspects, the social aspects, the spiritual aspects, and how that plays into the lives of these brothers, and how it plays into the decisions they are making, or the people around them who perhaps facilitate them taking these decisions. Honestly, obviously I can't look at it from that perspective specifically, but for me as a reader experiencing everything at that time, it makes sense why people who actually have more knowledge of the culture might say that. Again, I can't really say that one for one as my analysis of it, because I don't have the context of that. But as an outside observer, just, reading these things for the first time, I kind of get it. I can imagine if it was, Pakistani or South Asian culture, and you kind of find a way of substituting that in, that would make sense to me as well. Just the process in which the author goes about doing it. It's so good. Like I said, I read this, which was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize the same year that A Brief History of Seven Killings won the Man Booker Prize. And although I love both books, I personally like this book more. Again, like I said at the beginning, I know A Brief History of Seven Killings is just a completely different beast when it comes to just the process of actually crafting that narrative. But this, genuinely, as a look at the life and destiny of a family, and how maybe these prophecies that they were told, you kind of think, was this something that was going to happen inevitably, or is the prophecy self-fulfilling? The very fact that these brothers had to hear this prophecy, was it planted in their minds and it fulfilled itself because they were dwelling on it so much? I had my points I was going to hit in this video, and now I'm just thinking about the book, and I genuinely, yeah, man, banger. I don't want to go into spoilers, because there are things that, even the prophecy itself, when that's revealed to these brothers, the way it is eked out of them, it's just like, what? Huh? And then when, kind of the turn the characters make because of this prophecy just festering in their minds, you're just like, oh no. Like I was saying earlier, you see them reaching this crescendo point in their descent into the giving into it, and you just you just want them to pump the brakes, and there's points where you kind of think, okay, no, it's better, and then the ball starts rolling again, and you're just there as the reader no. So yeah, that's my spoiler-free review of The Fisherman. I think you should go off and read this book. It is so good. Like I said, I'll put links to it in the description down below, but also see if you can get it from your local library. We love supporting libraries here on this channel. Let me know if you've read The Fisherman, and if you have any other book suggestions that are similar to it that you think I would enjoy, please leave them in the comments down below. I would love to hear about them. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the book as well. If you are going to leave your thoughts, try and keep it spoiler free. I want people who haven't read this book to not have anything spoiled for them. But honestly, love it. Really enjoyed it. And like I said, it was part of that just wave of books I was reading at the end of last year, trying to finish as many books as possible. And even with that, even with me feeling burnt out on reading, it really stood out. It was one book where I finished it and I just had to sit with it for a while. I didn't go right into the next book like I was doing last year. I just I finished it and I was like, wow, I really had to absorb it. So let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on The Fisherman, if you have read it, if you want to pick it up, your thoughts and opinions if you have. And I want to say thank you to my members. These wonderful members get additional content, they get badges, they get insight into my videos, they get to help me decide what videos I'm making. I can't make these videos without them. If you want to become a member, you can hit that join button below this video, or you can go into my channel and click join there. It's £2 a month. But, if you don't want to, you reaching this point in the video also is just wonderful, and I thank you so much for it. So, thank you for watching, and I hope you read a great book today.